Right, well, hello Leeds. I'm Jason Smith. I'm from Bradford, but don't hold that against me. As well as being your MEP candidate, I'm also the civil liberties spokesman for UKIP in Yorkshire. So I want to just touch on that today, talk about the EU, democracy, freedom, liberty, and well, all the lack of it in the EU actually. So first of all, on justice, we do very well in this country. We've got a good history of justice in this country. It goes back hundreds of years and it's worked very well. And I want to quickly, very quickly just go through how it works in this country, and then we'll talk about the EU. So British justice is, as I say, it works very well. First of all, if there's a suspicion that somebody's committed a crime, first of all, there's then an investigation and a collection of evidence against the person. There's then an arrest when there's sufficient evidence against that person, and then there's a trial by jury, and you've got a right to silence so you don't incriminate yourself. It's a very good system. It's worked for hundreds of years, and it's been exploited across the world as well. So it's it's a well-respected system of justice. But hold on a second, because the EU's come along, and the EU system of justice is very different, and I think you'll notice the difference when I highlight it here. Under EU justice, known as corpus juris, it works in a slightly different way. There's a suspicion that you've committed a crime. You are then arrested. There's then an appointment of a magistrate who will then gather evidence against you. The prosecution will make their case, and then once they've made their case, you will then know the charges against you. So the prosecution has a very big advantage against you. There's no right to silence under the corpus juris, and there's no right to a trial by jury. So this is not something that that's coming in the future. It's not in the 20 years away. This is happening now. Already we've had issues in this country where people have been tried in front of and they've not gone before a jury. The government have made excuses why this can't happen. We've also had legislation by the government introducing more secret courts. This is legislation that's coming in through the back door from the EU. So it's a big concern. But when we talk about EU rights, the EU's got a charter, the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights. And it sounds really good when you read it. It's got the right to protest, the right to freedom of speech, and all these other rights. So it sounds really good. But as Nick Clegg said in his debate, you need to read the small print. And as with everything with the EU, you need to read the small print. And the small print is in Article 52, and it says quite clearly that all these rights that the EU offers all their citizens, they can be limited if it's in the general interest of the Union, the European Union. So what they're saying is they've got a Charter of Fundamental Rights that sounds really good to read, and you think, oh, I agree with all that, but then there's a little bit of a disclaimer at the bottom saying, well, we can limit all these rights if it's in our interest. So that's how the EU rights go, and they're not really very good rights at all, really. A lot of people probably have heard of the European Court of Human Rights. And there's been a lot of talk about it in the media. We're giving prisoners, the EU saying we need to give the prisoners votes, and all this kind of business. UKIP's policy on this is very simple. We want to come out of the European Court of Human Rights. The pro-EU people will say that the European Court and the EU, it's a separate entity. But here's the fact. If you're in the EU, if you're a member of the EU, you have to sign up to the European Court of Human Rights. You don't have an option there. So there's no option. So what we'll do is we'll come out of the EU human rights, but it's not because we're anti-liberty or anti-freedom. We will bring back our ancient rights, the ones that the Magna Carta, the things that have been ingrained in our traditions and culture for many years. So we'll bring back those ancient rights. So we are the most libertarian party, but we just don't want to be ruled by the EU and their version of freedom and liberty, which in my view and most people's views is not a very good version of freedom, liberty and democracy at all, really. The other point I'd like to just bring up is and again, the Lib Dems talk about this quite a lot. Nick Clegg loves to talk about this. It's the EU arrest warrant. And he says, without the EU arrest warrant, well, we wouldn't be able to fight crime. All these criminals from abroad coming into the country and murdering people. Without the EU arrest warrant, we'd all be doomed. Well, there's a couple of problems with that. Number one, you don't have to be a member of a political union to have an extradition treaty with a country. We have extradition treaties with many countries in the world. And you don't have to be a member of a political union to have that. So that's the first point. The second point, and it's an obvious one to people, if we're saying we've got a lot of crime in this country and we need to deal with crime, surely the best way to do that would be to stop open door borders. Open borders to all the EU, so anyone can come into this country. People from Eastern Europe, anywhere from Europe, criminals, murderers, rapists, we can't stop anybody from coming into this country from the EU. So when the other parties are saying, well, we need to control crime, we need to deal with crime, I would suggest the best way to do that is to stop open borders, to stop open door immigration. That's the very best way to deal with that. So the EU, so we're talking about freedom, democracy and justice. So how does the EU work or doesn't work really then? Well, the EU it's undemocratic, but it's not only undemocratic, it's anti-democratic. They've rejected referenda across Europe, people saying no to the EU. They've rejected that totally and they've gone on their merry way. The people who make legislation in the EU, which is the EU Commission, are all unelected. I mean, even the UKIP people here today would struggle to name all the EU commissioners, I suspect. And these are the only people who can propose legislation in the EU. The pro-EU people will say, well, you've got the EU Parliament. They can scrutinise legislation, but they can't initiate legislation, and that's very, very important. But there's something even worse going on behind the scenes. The EU Commission, they propose legislation, but behind the scenes, it's big business and big corporations that are lobbying the EU Commission. They're the people that are feeding them the policies that are being rolled out in the EU and then being imposed upon us in the UK and other countries. So not only are they undemocratic, but they run the EU, and I think Amjad alluded to it earlier, the EU is run by big business, for big business. So the losers in all this, big business are loving it because they get nice cheap labour, unlimited immigration, big business love that. Regulation, excessive regulation, big business can cope with that. They can deal with excessive regulation. Small businesses can't. Small businesses get pushed out and get left behind. So it's made to help big business. The working man also, they're the ones that are really struggling. All these open door borders and all this regulation on business, it's hurting the working man. If they can get a job these days, and it's not that easy, in areas like this, getting a job is not very easy nowadays. But if you can get a job, you know that your wages are going to be very, very depressed and your wages are going to be very, very poor because there's an over-demand of labour. So that's a very big problem. So the EU, we've talked about the EU's justice system. It's not very good. They don't really like rights unless it sort of suits them. They're totally undemocratic and they're run by big business. So in an area where we are today, an area where I live in Bradford and Leeds, working people, they want somebody to speak up for them. And the pro-EU parties really cannot deliver for them. So, as we move to Westminster, we have old parties in Westminster. What do they offer the working people of this country? Well, first of all, we've got the Conservatives. Well, the Conservatives have never cared about the working man, have they really? They've always been for big business. So it's hardly surprising that the Conservatives like the EU. They pretend to be Eurosceptic when an election comes around. They'll promise a referenda and then they'll renege on it. This is what the Conservatives do. They're all for big money, big business. And I'll just throw out a quick quote, quick humorous quote really. There's a Conservative MP that some people might remember from some time ago, the New Statesman, Alan Bastard. He had a colleague called Piers, and Piers said to Alan, he said, Alan, why do you want this money, Alan? You don't need this money. Why do you want this extra money? And he said, Piers, I don't need this money, but I want it because I'm very, very greedy. That's why I became a Conservative. Well, that doesn't just apply to the Conservatives, it applies to the EU in general, because it's built on greed, it's based on big business. So that's the Conservatives, so you can throw them away, working people are never going to touch them with a barge pole. Liberal Democrats, Nick Clegg and his friends. Well, you know, what can we say about that? Well, I heard a comment the other day that they was going to start selling Nick Clegg mops, because then we can all wipe the floor with him. But on a serious note, the Lib Dems, they used to stand for democracy. You might remember they used to believe in proportional representation, which is basically a fairer voting system. They used to believe in that, but when it didn't suit their purposes, they threw that out of the pram. Recently, this is very recently, they voted for more secret courts, and they're supposed to be a Liberal party, so that is totally against all libertarian principles, so they're not libertarian. In fact, the Liberal Democrats are not fit for purpose, and they should be renamed, actually, to the illiberal anti-democrats. And finally, we better not forget these people. They're speaking up for the working classes, the Labour Party. Well, back in the day, the old Labour Party, they did speak up for the working classes, to be fair. You know, when I come from in Bradford, they started in Bradford and they were out for the working man. But let's remember, the old Labour Party was anti-EU. The old Labour Party knew that the EU was a threat to our jobs, the unlimited immigration. They were against that. The old Labour Party knew that unlimited immigration drove down wages, and they were against that. But they've all gone now. Tony Blair finished them off when he came in. There's no more left. And I think only a few weeks back, I think we saw the last nail in the old Labour coffin when Tony Benn, who I've got a lot of time for, I didn't agree with all his policies, but I've got a lot of time for Tony Benn. It was a real, he believed in helping the working man, and he believed in what he was saying. So the Labour Party have all gone now. There's no one speaking up for the working man. But hold on a minute, maybe there is. There's a new party on the horizon, and I think you're here today and see what you think today. I've been on the doorstep in Bradford. Old Labour people have been coming out of the door, shaking my hand, saying, we've had a gut full of this lot, Labour, we're coming to UKIP. So, in closing, I'd like to say, the future, there is a future for this country. The future's bright, the future's purple, the future's UKIP.